Hello, my name is Marjorie Eldridge, and I first want to talk to you about the difference between PR and advertising. So, advertising is a creative paid announcement that is promoted through different types of media channels such as TV, newspaper ads, social media, radio, etc. They pay these medias to promote what they are doing, their business, or whatever they're trying to promote. PR is a strategic communication process that builds the beneficial relationship between your client as well as the public. Hello, my name is Marjorie Eldridge, and the first thing I want to talk today about is the difference between advertising and PR. So advertising is a created paid announcement that is promoted through different types of media channels. These media channels include newspapers, magazines, which are the print ads, as well as like social media, television, radio stations, wherever you can get advertising out to the people. So PR, on the other hand, is the strategic communication process that builds a great relationship between the organization, your client, as well as the public through different deliverables such as press releases. You have media advisories. You have a lot of different deliverables that go along with public relations. So today I went out to go grab a newspaper to point out the different advertising and PR items that are in the newspaper today that we see every day. So I went to go get the Savannah Morning newspaper, and this right here is a paid advertising that coastalautos.com pays for to put in this newspaper. They are wanting to gear this ad towards people who are wanting to buy a car, are interested in buying or selling any cars. So another ad that I found in the newspaper was this ad, which you notice is a full page ad, which will catch anybody's eye. So it says, "Be ready for what's next." This ad was put in the newspaper by cabbage.com, which is a website and a business that helps small business gain a line of credit to help start their business. This ad was aimed to promote people who are trying to start a small business to go visit their website and apply for the loan and hopefully get a chance to get that line of credit and to keep their business growing by people continuing to visit their website, applying, and getting that loan for their small business. An example of a PR deliverable that I found in the newspaper is a press release. A press release is a statement that is issued that gives more information about a specific topic. So one of the press releases that I found in the newspaper was this one. The title of it is "Restaurants COMM Customers Says Their Romaine is Safe." So this specific press release is going to expound about how romaine is now safe, which was a big issue that occurred, and how it is safe, and go in more depth to assure that the romaine is now safe. The second example that I have of a press release that is issued in this paper is this story. This story is titled "Ways Technology is Making Motorcycles Safer." So again, within this story, they are gonna go more in depth on what and how they are going to make the safety of motorcycles more safe by the use of technology. They're probably going to talk about how it is gonna change the way people view the safety as motorcycles and what technology they are actually implementing to make the motorcycles more safe. Okay, so now I would like to talk about advertising equivalency. Advertising equivalency is a measure that has been used in the public relations industry to help measure the benefit to a client from the media coverage of a PR campaign. That being said, this term is referring to the cost of buying the space that is taken up by a particular ad in an article or in a newspaper. So going back to the advertisement that I pointed out earlier is the coastalautos.com. So this ad is promoting to buy, sell, or maintain or accessorize cars in the newspaper. So this ad is only taking up a little bit of the newspaper header, which is a good amount, but this probably didn't cost as much as an ad would that is advertising a full page. Going towards that, this ad is an advertisement in the newspaper that is advertised by Chatham Motor Sales. This ad actually takes up a whole page. So, being that they spent more money on getting this advertisement on a whole page, they will most likely get the more value, customer value, the more benefits of a client, because the media coverage is very large. A person who is looking at a newspaper is more likely to stop at this page than to just remember the name of coastalautos.com because of the size difference and because of the more detail and more cars and just more exposure that this ad has compared to the Coastal ad. Now I would like to talk about pitch letters. Pitch letter is a story that is pitching an idea that is sent off to a journalist or editor with the end results of getting media coverage for a company's product or service. It could be a event. It can also be a sponsorship letter, anything to help get that media coverage. Also, with a pitch letter, it is not specific for the whole media or the media as a whole. It's usually written to a specific person to help gain that exposure for whatever specifically that they are writing the pitch letter for. So like I said, a pitch letter can go from a sponsorship to pitching an event to pitching anything that you might want media coverage. This is an example of a fraternity seeking additional fundings for their chapter to host their conference. So at the top, you will see that they specifically address the letter to Mr. Wigman, which is a store manager of a food chain. So they are specifically asking for additional funds. They, in the first paragraph, they are talking about who they are and what they need their fundings for, which they are saying they are hosting a Section 13 conference. This is a great pitch letter. It is showing what they need it for, talking about who they are and why they need it. And this is just showing that this is why they need it and this is why they should get it. Now we are going to talk about how to write the headline of an effective news release. So, for me, writing an effective headline for a news release is being smart about what you want the audience to see, like how you're going to catch that audience's eye. So you really want to put yourself in the audience's shoes. So one thing that I always do in a headline, you want to make sure that it's something that will catch somebody's eye. So the wording of it, the size of it, if it's italicized, if it's bold, how big it is. Like, you want a person who's just reading an article to glance down and like look at it and like actually take the time to want to go to that. So an example that I found that really caught my eye in this newspaper is this headline. This headline says, Korea's planned path to peace. So first, it is very bold. It is also in big writing. So it really caught my eye. It's also on the first page, which you can see that the Savannah Morning News is in this special font. But once you look right down, there's this bold, black, strong font that catches someone's eye. Also, people want to know about Korea and about Trump and how things are getting handled. So just starting off the headline with Korea's plan to path to peace is something that people are going to want to read. They could have started it off any other way and somebody would have been like, oh, doesn't really matter, doesn't really catch my eye. But people want to know what's going on. So just starting off with the keywords of Korea's and peace, and just using like these keywords to gain someone's attention is very important on how to have an effective headline. So some APA style rules that you should definitely know is to how to cite books, periodical, reference works, or any other type of composition. These can include, books, songs, television shows, poems, lectures, speeches, anything of a composition sort. So for an example, in a sentence, it can be Ashley Farmer read from her new book, Remaking Black Power. Her book title, Remaking Black Power, should be in quotation marks because it is a title of a book, and you should always put those titles in a quotation mark to make sure the reader knows that it is a title of something. So when using names in stories, you want to always mention the person's first and last name when you're first introducing them in the story. You only want to use or address the person by their last name if it's the second reference. You want to use their first and last name first because that is how the reader is going to identify the person. So you never want to use courtesy titles such as Mr., Miss, Mrs., unless you are trying to differentiate a person who has the same last name. Dealing with APA style is very important to know how to use punctuation in the correct way. So, after a sentence, you need to have that period. Before starting your new sentence, you need to make sure you have a single space that is separating the new sentence from the period. Also, commas and periods go within quotation marks. For example, I did the right thing, she said. I did the right thing should go in between the quotation marks, and outside of that quotation marks need to be the comma, then she said, period. Another example could be, he said, I did this right. He said should be, he should, then comma, and within those quotation marks needs to be, I did this right. So don't forget that the placement of the period is also important. Within those quotation marks, a period needs to be inside them to end the sentence. If you place the period outside of the quotation marks, it will be a grammatical error that is very common. Another important rule that you need to know about APA style is knowing when to capitalize and when to lowercase titles. Generally, you'll capitalize formal titles that appear before a person's name, such as President Barack Obama, Senator, and that person's name. So you'll lowercase the title of these names if it is informal, it appears without a person's name, follows a person's name, or are set off before a name by commas. Another important rule that you need to know about APA style is knowing when to capitalize and when to lowercase titles. Generally, you'll capitalize formal titles that appear before a person's name, such as President Barack Obama, Senator, and that person's name. So you'll lowercase the title of these names if it is informal, it appears without a person's name, follows a person's name, or are set off before a name by commas. Also, your lowercase adjectives that designate the status of the title. Another important rule of writing APA style is knowing the correct way on how to write your time in a story, press release, news release, anything. During those, you're usually going to have to write a specific time, and you need to know the correct way to write that time. So in all cases, you'll spell out noon and midnight to differentiate both without getting them mixed up. Also, you'll use a colon to separate the hours from the minutes. You'll never use the 00 referring to the hours of 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, etc. Also, not using the 00, you'll refer to the hours as 1 p.m., 2 p.m., etc. You'll also use the 30-minute mark, the 3:30 a.m., 3:30 p.m., and so on. Thank you for joining me and watching this presentation. See you next time.